It's like a private, like little like hospital with like 30 people that all have different kind of ailments.
Makes sense.
Well, welcome to the Three Bears Podcast, Craig, along with Chris, and our
thank you guys.
guest Colt Brennan's with us today, sir. Man, that's for anybody that is not a Hawaii faithful. This is the legend for the University of Hawaii. I mean, this man holds many records. Which I want to apologize to you, man. Your record fell.
I know, but it was gonna fall. That's the way for it to fall.
Yeah, it was one of those where let's be honest, maybe for a record to hold from 2007 to now, was impressive. I was actually the one that's like, I don't know if we're going to get somebody that's going to have that. Then here comes Burrow at LSU.
Yeah, no, he's super talented, and for him to do it the way he did it in the national championship, playing for the best conference in college football, props to him. And like I said, man, something like that's going to fall at some point, at some time. And like you said, blessed to have it for as long as I did, blessed to have it in the first place. But it was still pretty cool to see the national championship game. They threw my name up there, And you can just think about I don't know how many people watch it, but Dad, I'm on TV, Kind of cool.
Oh yeah. Well, it was one of those where you looked at it and you're like, I think Austin said it, and I'm like, it's Oklahoma's fault.
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Oklahoma is the one that allowed him to break the record. I was just like,
6 touchdowns in the first half. Come on now, it's just not fair. Like,
yeah, that kid was on fire all year.
Yeah.
So it's but so I'm not going to get into the whole stat things because anybody can Wikipedia and just pull up your stats. That we can nerd out on that. We'll just start from the beginning for anybody that doesn't know about you. You started your career at Mater D High School.
Modern day.
Yeah. So if for anybody that doesn't know it, Mater D is an absolute factory for talent. You were the backup to Matt Leinart.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Barkley. I said you have all these NFL quarterbacks that are coming out of this high school. This thing is. There's NBA players. There's Major League Baseball players. This is just a factory for talent. So you're here now. A lot of people won't know this. You played basketball for them as well.
Yeah, I was like the 8th man. We had some real talent. It's funny. Modern day, it's not like in like this beautiful setting. It's right smack. Like near the ghetto. In downtown Santa Ana. It's like you get off the freeway, you go by South Coast Plaza. Once you go over the train tracks, all the signs go from English to Spanish. It's in this kind of unique area. But what's cool about it is that the whole community around the school, they respect the school. And if you got that uniform on, nobody going to mess with you. Everyone going to respect you. And they take in a lot of kids from that community. It being a Catholic high school and the Spanish community having a very strong, Catholic belief, that school is really held up. And a lot of the reason people go there is because of the great sports program they have, Coach Rawlinson is, me and Matt Leinart to this day say it's probably one of the best coaches we ever had. And he's obviously continued to carry that torch for years.
Yeah. After that is you're brought in. You end up going to Worcester Academy for this graduate year.
Yeah. So basically, like my cousin, he grew up in the NorCal area. I forget the name of his high school, but he went to a high school that he was a receiver, and he went to a high school that ran a lot of option, and he didn't really get a lot of opportunities in high school. And he wanted to continue to play football. And so basically his dad would travel the country a lot, and he had business in the Northeast. And they told him about this postgraduate year that you could do at these elite prep schools. And being like an athlete with some talent, they could bring you in on a merit scholarship because the tuition, was very, very prestigious schools. So my cousin went and did that. He ended up walking on at the University of Arizona, earning a scholarship and starting as a wide receiver at the University of Arizona for a number of years. And kind of as I was coming out of high school, he was finishing his career at Arizona. And I just thought, with only 1 year, imagine if I got one more year to kind of showcase my talent. And so I decided to follow him to the same school he went to, which was funny because I thought it was named Worcester Academy too. And then when you get there, it's Worcester.
Worcester.
They got that Boston accent and everything.
Yeah, yeah, there we go. All right.
It was a really fun experience. I met my roommate to this day is one of my best friends. But the thing was, I was like the third game of the year, I fractured my middle finger on my throwing hand, and I missed most of the season. I came back for the last 5 games. We won all 5 games in the league. We beat the league champions, and then I still didn't really have a whole lot of opportunity. And so where I grew up, the hometown, all the kids went to the local high school. About 4 or 5 of them all went to Boulder, and obviously, talking to them, when I sent my tape to Coach Watson, who was the I believe offensive coordinator at Boulder at the time, he remembered me at Mater Dei, and they brought me in as an invited recruit, got me right into school, and I was able to go and spend a year there until I ended up bouncing back to a JUCO.
Nice, because that's, and then like I said, I'm not going to get into anything that really about it. I mean, you ended up leaving University of Colorado. I mean, this is all, like I said, not something that has to be rehashed. So after that was done, before you walked on with Saddleback, so kind of, we do this part of the thing, like the story view. So like for a lot of people, what went through your mind in that point? I mean, did you think you were done playing college football at that point, or did you know that there was still going to be an opportunity for me out there?
It was a time, and like you said, we could go, but to go back and talk about everything, it would take many more than just one time on with you guys. So just to speed it up, basically, I knew I wanted to play football. I loved the game. And I knew about the situation I knew it was wrong, and I knew there was some morality for me to continue on my journey. And I knew that there was a bright future ahead if I continued to do what was right. And luckily, Coach Mack, who's still the head coach at Saddleback Junior College, he had a lot of he always enjoyed me in high school. I got a chance to build a relationship with him. And when I got there, I just fell in love with the school and the coaches and just the, junior college is an interesting time. And California does a great job at building up these junior. I mean, my school was beautiful, and it was in a beautiful area, and it was a really fun experience. Gerard Best was my receiver. He's the guy that caught the hook and ladder when Boise State upset Oklahoma, and so me and him were this 1-2 combo, and we had this great team, and we ended up going and we won the we won our league championship, and then played for the Southern California championship, where we lost to the team that ended up going on to win the national championship my junior college year. But I got named State Player of the Year, and it was pretty awesome. It was a really cool experience, and really had a lot of friends and just a great experience there. But, after that year, there was kind of, obviously with some of the things that I had to go through, there was kind of, the recruiting wasn't quite as I wasn't being recruited as much as I wanted to be, but June Jones showed up on my doorstep. He was watching Gerard Rapp, the guy that went to Boise State. And the story goes, he just kept rewinding the first play, which was me hitting Rapp for like some 30-yard pass down the middle. And he said, "Who's this QB?" And so then he ended up showing up on my doorstep, and he's like, "Look, man," and he said a lot of amazing things. And then there was something about Hawaii, something about getting away. And he brought up Ashley Lee and Chad Owens. Ashley Lee went on to be a really high draft pick and had a good career in the NFL. And Chad Owens has been a legend up in Canada the past 10 years or something. He said both of them were walk-ons, and he kind of talked about the community at Hawaii and how walk-ons and Scully kids, it's just different there. We all kind of have this camaraderie. We all kind of have this love. And he said he saw a lot of talent in me, and he wanted to give me an opportunity to shine, so to speak. And so I showed up. It was the best decision I ever made. And I thought about, I grew up in SoCal, by the beach with the waves. What better place to go play football,
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, That was kind of one of the questions you got right to it. I was going to ask you because you also had that offer from San Jose State.
Yeah, my cousin, who now is he's
the head coach, isn't he, of San Jose?
Yeah, he's head coach of San Jose State. He was. I was just going to say though, he bounced around a couple of different places, but he was there. He was the receiver coach, and Dick Tomey was the coach that coached the cousin that got me to the prep school. He coached him at Arizona, and so they offered me a Scully. But what the story you don't really know is that they offered me a Scully and then they pulled it, and then after the spring they gave it back. But by then I knew I was going to Hawaii. I knew I wanted to walk on and make my way to Hawaii. Timmy Chang was his career came to an end there. As far as going in to try and earn the starting job, the job was wide open. And I'll never forget on my recruiting trip, we went out there and they were playing in the Hawaii Bowl. So we right after our season, it was right before Christmas. We went out and I walked on the field and I saw the O-line, and it was some of the baddest dudes I've ever seen in my life. Dude, I was just like, dude, these are the guys that block for you. And then I looked over and I saw all these redshirt freshman receivers with dreads, just little, just little. I was like, man, dude. And then I remember I was at home, and when you go on these recruiting trips, they'll give you a media guide,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting in bed and flipping the media guide over, and it had like the last 10 years or whatever it was, June's kind of coaching career there. And it was like 2 9 wins, a 10 win, and an 8 win season. And we're talking about wins over Alabama, wins over like Northwestern, they're averaging 9 wins a season. And then I went out there and I saw who I would be eventually playing with. And I saw those 5 linemen, and I was just like in the running backs, and then all this young talent. And I knew it was like, you get those feelings down deep inside. They talk about, I could feel it down my spine. I was like, man, it wasn't about getting a free ride. It was about going and playing where you knew that there was going to be some true talent. And they had true talent. And like, dude, my O-line, my junior year, and the 2 running backs I had, dude, I remember teams they didn't want to rush anymore. They were tired of getting hit so hard. I mean, we were playing Purdue. They're just puking on themselves. They just gave up rushing. I mean, it was that kind of team. And the 2 running backs, even the linemen, man, they had this whole thing where if whoever they were responsible for didn't come, well, then they would just turn down the line and hit whoever was there as hard as they could. And it was just highlights after highlights, watching the D-line getting effed up constantly, linebackers getting effed up. So my junior year was really kind of the funnest because even though we had that great run my senior year and it was fun for the state and it was fun for all of us, kind of ended kind of sour, but we did some really awesome stuff. My junior year was really fun because we had to play Alabama our first game, and then we barely lost to Boise State, and we barely lost to Oregon State, and that was the year Oregon State won 10 games and upset USC's national championship hopes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we played some real talent that year, and that was the year, man. It was fun, man. We'd walk out and we weren't afraid of no one. And
I was at that game against Oregon State. And I told him, I go, that's actually when I started donning this hat. I went there. So, I mean, just picture this. Obviously, you're not going to see it. You're on the field, getting ready for the game. But you look up in that sea of green. I'm the lone orange figure standing out there in the sea of these guys. So, my first experience with Hawaii. Okay, so everybody, when you're upset with a call, you throw something on the field. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
So everybody, I'm looking around. My friend Todd's telling me, he's like, "Oh, dude, you got to see this." They score a touchdown. They start ripping up the paper programs. Yeah. Everybody's throwing stuff on the field. I'm like, are they mad? He goes, no, this is every celebration. You score a touchdown, they've got guys going out there sweeping the field. It's just litter everywhere.
That was always funny when we watch film. It's like, why is all this trash on the field in the fourth quarter? And I bet you when you were in the stands, the Hawaiians were good to you. I bet they were. They were.
Oh yeah, they were giving me a hard time. Just it's like really. So here I am, the lone guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but at about, I would say probably that third quarter, I was already, because of Todd, I was already kind of looking, I'm like, I like Hawaii. But then I got to the point where I'm rooting you down the field just as much as I'm rooting down Oregon State. And by the time we get done, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm a fan. I took my Oregon State hat off. I still had the jersey. I went to the gear. I bought a Hawaii hat and I wore it out of the stadium wearing a Hawaii hat and a jersey.
That's a great story, man.
But
yeah, all the food before. I never got to see it. I mean, I've been to some games since and seen it, but it's never like it was those 2 years, my junior and senior year. But I have two sisters, my mom, and they would show me pictures of just lobsters and just all the food and the fun. It was a really fun time in Hawaii. It was really cool.
Well, he reps it everywhere, man.
Yeah, I invited him. Yeah, when you've got it in a truck, like UCF, I go, there's tailgating when you go to Hawaii, and they've got a pit, and they're roasting a pig in the ground there for the game. I mean, you're like, this is a whole different level of tailgating. This is something to roll in.
Yeah, I brought credit.
It was a good time those couple of years, man. And obviously, I'll never forget, after we lost to Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, I had maybe 3-4 days to pack up all my stuff and get out to California and start getting ready for the draft. You pick an agent, you go through the natural process that everyone does there when they decide to go to the league. And when I first got to Hawaii, I remember I rented a car and I drove around the island. I took H2, went to the Dole Plantation into Haleiwa. I drove around the island, and it was just to get a feel for it. And obviously, I don't know how much you got to travel, but one side of the island looks like Japan. And then the other side of the island is just straight country, and that's where the surf is and all the, all that stuff. So I just remember just driving around the island. And when I came back after the Sugar Bowl, I'm like, I want to do that one more time to say goodbye, because I remember driving down that first time, it would be awesome, for them to pick up the paper at these houses in the country, and read about us. And I just kind of had that vision. And so then I got in the car and I went the other way, but I did the same drive, and I just saw signs all over the island. Whack Champs, 12-0. It was the camaraderie and the community and the aloha that the state of Hawaii showed. To this day, they still show. It was unmatched, and it was a pretty, I go to class right before Christmas. And then, okay, class is over. And then all 30 students would get up with bags full of stuff for me to sign. And I'd have to sit there. But, it wasn't a bad thing. It was a cool thing, man. And here we are, 10 in the country. I mean, you never thought Hawaii would, it was fun. It was real fun.
Yeah, we took that drive. I mean, we went up through the plantations, through the military bases, got to North Shore, checked that out. It was really cool. And then we're driving back. And we ended up stopping. It was a little greasy spot called Kaniki's.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome pulled pork.
Yeah.
We're sitting here. Todd's like, dude, you gotta try this. Like, I have potato mac and I have Hawaiian pulled pork for the first time. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like if you look at the place, you'd keep on driving. But he's like, no, you gotta stop here.
That's where you stop, man.
The movie 50 First Dates. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they have the Hukilau Cafe where he meets Drew Barrymore and everything, right? Yep. That's an actual place, and that's in Laie, and that's the Mormon community, and that's a real cafe. It looks nothing like that, right? It looks nothing like that, but it's like you would have to pull in. It looks like you're going into a neighborhood, and it's the best breakfast. And my guess is Adam Sandler's been there before. Because they got pictures of celebrities and stuff, but it's just such a hole in the wall. You would never know it was there unless you were new locals or someone that could get you there. And I'm pretty sure he named it, or the producer named it because of Adam Sandler's, had been there before, and it's the best food. And then that doc where she goes running out when she finds out about her brain damage and everything. That's basically, if you were to where I live in Ka'ava, which is between Kaneohe and the North Shore, but it's just all country. And as you go back into Kaneohe, as you're trying to go back to town, you pass that dock every day. and you pass that place where they shot the movie and everything.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
it's stuff like that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
And then I think it was we were watching the John Jones fight last night, and they had, I don't know if you guys watched that, but they had the dudes jumping off the Waimea Rock and everything. And then all my buddies, they made a video for me going into my senior year to send out to the media for the Heisman campaign and all that. And the opening shot is me jumping off that rock. And whoever it was, they made a whole segment on the Jones fight last night. And I was like, so it's pretty fun when you see. Yeah, it's pretty cool when you see the place that you live, and I still reside. I own a house there now. You see it. It's beloved, whether you're Hawaiian, or any race. It don't matter. It's a great place, and aloha is a spirit that is real, and you feel it when you get there to that island.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard the term haole.
Yeah.
And we got that.
I beat that rap kind of fast. But I got there as a Howie.
I heard that term because we continued on that trip, and we went past Pearl Harbor, and where the freeway just comes to an abrupt stop. We're like, oh yeah, let's make the mistake, and we went left as tourists.
Why not?
So we went through all the neighborhoods. We looked around. There's broken down cars pushed off over towards the shore. There's homeless tents everywhere. We're like, yeah, we need to turn around.
Did you go out to Waianae? Do you know if it was Waianae where you went out to, or the highway ends on that side?
Yeah. We're all suddenly
where like 50% of Dog the Bounty Hunter was shot. Like, dude, I still 50-50 on going to Waianae, and they all know me. They like me. That place is a rough neighborhood out there.
Yeah, we're over there. And that, like you said, that's what I was like. It was like, "What you doing here, Howie?" And I'm like, "Oh, we got to turn around."
My junior and senior year, they would take like me and Devon, Ryan Grice, we would go talk to like elementary schools, do stuff, charity stuff. It's just the Hawaiian way. And never we went to Waianae to talk to either an elementary or a junior high, and they pulled us in. And they gave us a speech, and they said, whatever you do, don't you dare say the wrong thing. Keep it very calm and collect. These kids will get up and try and fight you. Like it is that kind of neighborhood. And I'm like, I've never come to do a charity talk and been like told, hey man, you want to talk about bullying or nothing? Just go in there, work hard, do your schoolwork and get the hell out. I was like, man, this place is great. And it's like you said, like broken down cars. And it's a true local spot where the true locals stay. And it's kind of like their last little stronghold of that island. Because obviously they just changed the Airbnb laws because all these people from the mainland, that had money were just buying houses up left and right and then Airbnb-ing them out and making a bunch of money. And it just was ruining for the locals, their ability to live there. And so they just changed the law now and everything, but it really is a special place that has, there's this camaraderie. Like it's funny, like when I go home to SoCal and I'm driving on like 405 and 5, in either LA or Orange County, like it's a fight on the freeway. You got to be aggressive. I mean, when you're in Hawaii, it's like no, you go ahead. Like everyone's like so kind. It's just like you would know. It's just, and you end up letting that kind of demeanor, take over you, and then you end up like you get back. I'll get back home to Cali, and I just seem like the nicest guy, and everyone's like, "Man, he's so cool, he's so mellow." And it's like, "Man, I live in Hawaii." It's pretty easy to be that way.
Duke statue, Duke Kamehameha. You're at the statue. Everybody wants to take pictures. You go somewhere else in the mainland. Everybody's like, what are you doing cutting in line? Everybody's like, oh no, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, cool. Calling people back home. It's like, turn on your computer right now. Watch the camera. Here I am. Look at me. Yeah, you watch yourself live from the Duke cam.
It's a state built on tourism, so it's important for the locals of Hawaii to be very, very courteous and stuff like that. But at the same time, their land was stolen. We locked their queen and her castle and straight up just stole the whole monarchy so there is always going to be that resentment that's going to be out there. But if you go out there and you got a good heart, good intentions, it's very easy for you to fit in Hawaii.
Yeah. That was one of the things I really really liked about it is it was just amazing mix. I mean, you had everything, and it was just everything went, like you said, from the Mormon area with the Polynesian Cultural Center, just everywhere.
Yeah.
It was like you had all different little things all smashed into one in Oahu.
But it's interesting. It's like where you are on the island is different cultures, just like you were talking about, and obviously where PCC is, that's right by Laie, where the Mormon community. There's a lot of Samoans in that area, and then Waianae, a lot more of the locals, a lot more than then. You get into to the city a little bit more. You'll see a little bit more of the Asian culture. And it's funny. One thing I always enjoyed when I got to the NFL and I played for the Redskins for those 3 years, was released my third year. When you're white and you're in Hawaii, you're the minority. It's a hell of a feeling when you're in America to go to be the minority in an American state, And so when I got it was kind of neat because I had there's not a lot of white guys on NFL teams either. It's not a lot, So when I got there, I fit in with everyone and all the brothers, they called me nephew, and it was like, because when you're in Hawaii, race don't matter. It's all about who you are and what you represent. And that's what was cool. When I got to the NFL, man, I got taken under the arm by so many cool guys, and it was because Hawaii taught me that, it's not about what color you are or this, it's just about how genuine you are.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that was one of the questions, like, especially going into the NFL, obviously you and the Dreadheads, I mean, that was the team, that was the tandem, Ryan Grice Mullen and Devon Best had, I think, if I remember it, had the most success in the NFL.
Yeah.
Devon Best being the one, because he was with Miami for, a few years.
Yeah, he got a second contract. I know. I can't remember if it was Cleveland or Miami, but he got to his second contract, So that's obviously, they always say you get to your second contract, you're good, You're usually in good shape.
Now, do you still keep contact with those guys, on a regular basis?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
We're all still friends to this day. Definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, just a lot of people that haven't heard from you and stuff, like I said, it's really good to see that you're doing well. Because the last I really heard from you, was after the car accident. Then just like spotlight thing just kind of faded away. Like I was telling when we were trying to reach out and possibly talk to you, so I told him, I go, he's not really out in the spotlight. I mean, he kind of is more reserved now. And so I said it was really cool that we were able to, talk to you and actually bring you on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. And I got released, and when I got signed to the Raiders, but I got released. So I played football from the first year you could play football, which was like fourth grade, I believe. And then never had one injury all the way to the NFL. I get to the NFL and have 4 my first year. Both hips, both knees. And by the time I missed a bunch of mini camps when Shanahan came in, by the time I got healthy, a trade went down. Whoever that kid is from BYU, Beck, I believe, came in. Mm-hmm. And, I was just kind of, the odd man out. And I went to the Raiders because they had an injury and they just needed an arm for camp. And then the week of the accident, I got a phone call from the Raiders and from my agent saying the Raiders were thinking about bringing you in this weekend. And the next day I got in the car accident. And it was, it was, and so at some point you just, you just gotta be grateful to be here because the accident I was in, I could have been dead like that. If I didn't have my seatbelt, the smallest decisions, if I didn't click, dead, but I happened to put it on. Unfortunately, my girlfriend looked down on her phone, and boom, head on, like 60-something miles an hour, and it was scary, and obviously it had a lot of effect to everybody involved in that wreck, and it kind of ended my football career. And then it hasn't been easy at all the last 9.5 years. There's been nothing easy about it. Traumatic brain injury is tough, man, and where I have 6 hematoma scars on my brain, 1 right in the right frontal lobe, which, is a lot of your character, your impulse control. Wow. I've had some hiccups, and I still got some adversities to go through. But at some point you got to be grateful for what you were given, what you have, and and that you're here today. And you start to learn that, whether it's the hard way or the easy way. When you start to learn that, you start to appreciate life a lot more.
Great. Well,
Yeah, no, it's fun to see her doing that. Because that was one of the things like that. It's just I was really curious to see how the recovery's been going. I mean, I was talking with you. I mean, you seem to be doing really well. I mean, especially
I'm sorry. Yeah, I went to the Center of Neuro Skills for like 3 months in Bakersfield, California, where like 5 days a week it was like going to school, 6 classes, and then you lived in this like apartment complex community with people that had brain injuries of all levels. And I think one thing I learned in that was, even in the brain injury part, to see people that had much more severe brain damage and what they had to go through was just, I lived with 2 kids that were a little younger than me in the same apartment, and they had this whole thing. And when I got there, I graded at an 8th grade level in education. By the time I left, I was back to a college graduate. Wow. And they really revamped a whole lot of things. And then over time, I've come to learn so much about the brain and how important it is. And whether it's not just reading or being able to be educated through like school type, but also like the diet you eat. And like everything from alcohol to nicotine to, all this stuff all plays its role. And you start to learn how to take care of your brain. And I think I've learned a lot about that over the years. And, I'm getting older now, and I'm starting to take a lot more of be grateful for what I have upstairs. And you can continue to create neurons well late in your 50s and if you just make the effort through your diet, through your, I play Lumosity all the time. I read every day. I try hard because I watched it happen when I was at that Center for Neuro Skills, the brain injury facility. I watched them completely. I mean, the stuff we did was amazing, and I watched that you can make yourself and your brain, smarter, and you can stay on it. Because Alzheimer's is waiting almost forever. 50% of people have, come down with that or something like that. And there's a way to avoid it, and that's just taking the time, both the diet and how you exercise, staying physically active, all kinds of things that definitely make a difference for the future. Because like when I'm in my 60s and 70s, and hopefully I will get there, I want to be like some of those people we see that just live life to the fullest. I read an article the other day about like this 108-year-old guy, like driving like in Florida. Mm-hmm. He got a fiance driving like this, like Corvette, and I mean, I don't know if I'll make it to 108, but dude, that guy, whatever he did it right, and he lived right.
I'd like to be Pete Carroll. Good God, have you seen that? I mean, that guy's going on 69, 70. You got Pete Carroll, head coach of Seattle, just running around up and down. I'm like,
yeah, he's a great example. Yeah, he's a great example. I got a chance. My first year at Hawaii was when SC. Of course, my first game was against Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush. Thanks, but it was a good experience. They smashed us. But that was the year they played Texas in the Rose Bowl. Mm-hmm. And so I flew home. We didn't make a bowl game my first year, and I flew home, and I loved going up to match practices and stuff like that because they were on that run. I think that would have been a three-peat for them had they won that game against Texas. And so I went up, and it was pretty cool because Pete Carroll was like, "Colt, come on out here," and then I ran out to the middle of the field, and I shadowed him the whole practice, and he taught me about. What a great guy. Pete Carroll was a terrific man, and I really enjoyed him. And, yeah, you see him running around at 69. He takes good care of himself.
Now, that kind of segues into one of the questions I wanted to ask you. All right, you shouted around coaching.
Oh, I love coaching.
People that want to see you as a coach.
Yeah, I had so much fun. This past year, the house I own, that's kind of how a lot of my income comes. I did a good job of investing in this house when I first had some money when I was in the NFL, and I rented out. And so basically that's the big way that I generated a lot of income. And so after I was in the hospital for those 9 years, I went to the Big Island. There was a physical therapist there that I really wanted to work with. And I coached Pop Warner. I've coached high school at 3 different high schools in Hawaii, all volunteer. Everything I've always did is mellow, but the not this past fall because I was doing a bunch of stuff. Like my dad had to fly out because I don't, we gotta get the ACs fixed, power washer drive, do all this stuff to get it rented out, and so it was good to have his help. But The year before that, though, I coached these 10 to 12-year-old kids. It was the most rewarding thing ever. If you go on my Instagram and scroll down, you will see some of the coolest kids you've ever seen. And they were undefeated. They were the Big Island champions. And it was probably the most rewarding, but it wasn't just then. My first year I coached at Kahuku, which is, near out there right by PCC, the Polynesian Cultural Center. We won the state championship that year, and I was the QB coach. And wow. I really enjoyed coaching. I think I just kind of really need to start making an effort to make, I've always just been kind of a volunteer coach right now. I haven't really gotten into it too heavy quite yet, but I plan on it definitely at some point. And I really like the youth. I like the youth. I watched my cousin Brent, who's the head coach at San Jose State. God, I watched him go through, years of just tedious work. Started off at Cal Poly, I think, or something like that, and then he went to San Jose State, and then he went to Oregon State, and back up, and now he's finally a head coach at San Jose State, which is a tough place because they're not really decorated as a great school, hard to recruit there and stuff like that. But I watched him work for years, and having kids and a wife, and it's tough, man. You got to really work hard, and so I'd love to have a job and enjoy myself and be able to coach the youth. I really enjoy that. I really like high school. I love Pop Warner. I'll never forget. Like, I have this great story. These kids were so awesome. And if you ever go on my Instagram, it's Colton, Colton, James 15. That's how we linked up. And when you scroll down, you see these kids. But one day we were doing the option, and we had this kid, Kainoa. He's like one of the better kids on the team. And we were trying to get him to have spacing, when you're going down, make sure you have good spacing, And they're like, hey, Kainoa, you know why you caused that fumble last week? The week before he had caused the fumble because they, got in the middle, knocked the pitch down, was able to fumble. And so he goes, Kainoa, do you know why you caused that fumble last week? And he looks at the coach and goes, because I'm a beast. Oh my God! Brought the head coach to his knees, brought me to my knees. These kids were amazing, dude, and it was the funniest experience. After that, I kind of got like, do I go back to high school or do I stay with these younger kids? It's been kind of a toss-up, but I think right now I'm trying to get healthy physically. I mentioned a little bit about the blood. I had some blood clot problems, and I've had to learn how to kind of get my legs back and do a lot of therapy on a lot of physical therapy on my legs. The blood clot, I got it on my spine, and I spent 7 months in the hospital and then 2 months in the assisted living. And it was pretty gnarly. And then I spent about a year, and that was the year I coached, just rehabbing every day. And everything's getting a lot better now, but I still got some time ahead of me. But, I obviously would love to get a job, and would love to continue to coach, definitely. And if the opportunity presents itself, maybe I will keep going up the ladder. But, right now I'm just kind of keeping it simple, one step at a time, focusing on my health, trying to be healthy. I want to get back out on that basketball court. I want to drop back and sling it. And so, yeah, just trying to go one step at a time right now.
Yeah.
So we hope that for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Chris,
did you have a question?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it with how was it to play at in Washington? I mean, you started there, you played there for a little while. How was it in Washington?
Well, it was pretty cool because our first game was the Hall of Fame game. And, everyone always what was the first game like, when you played? Well, the Hall of Fame game is played in a high school stadium. There's only like 16,000 people there. So it's not like going out, in front of 50, So it's a really fun experience. You see all these guys getting inducted. And then I had those two great games my rookie year in the preseason. And then the whole Washington, D.C. was just loving, it was like the best position to be. Not the starter, but everyone loved me. Everyone was really, this guy could be the future, and that first year is probably why, I probably had that first year because, God or the higher power knew that I was going to have some adversity down the road, and I may not be able to get an experience pro football like I would want to. But that first year was amazing. I tore my hip going into my second year. I was IR'd. And then Zorn got fired and Shanahan came in, and then I had a knee surgery, my fourth surgery. And so then I was out and then a month and a half, 2 months after being released, woke up from a coma, brain damage, broke my eye socket. I got a fake collarbone, all my ribs, and I had to try and start over. And it's been a roller coaster ride. I've made some mistakes. I battled some, whatever it's depression, anxiety, whatever it comes with when you get TBI. And so, yeah, like I said, whether it's my physical health or my mental health, I'm just trying to get it all back and get it in the right direction right now.
Yeah,
you seem like you're doing really well, man. I mean, I said,
I'm
happy for
I
you.
work
Really
hard. I work hard at it. I was telling you right now, I'm at a facility right now doing some work, and both mentally and physically. I've come to, in the hard way, come to learn how to appreciate what God gave us.
We'll definitely keep playing.
I'd say I'd love you to plug the place to give them some stuff. But at the same time, I don't want people to know where you're at, so that way you have the people at the door knocking on there.
Yeah. I don't know if they would want me to plug it or not.
No, that's why I said I would love for you to plug them just to give them, because of the work they're doing. But at the same time, I don't think they want that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. The food is amazing. These cooks are amazing. The nurses are so cool. Like, everyone's so nice. It's really cool. Washington, Northeast. I love the Northeast. Oregon and Washington. I love it up here, man. These people are really, really, really genuine. Really good people up here.
Yeah. I moved from Oregon, like down here to Central Florida.
I got tired of the winter.
I got tired of the winter.
I remember the Oregon State hat. But remember how you left that stadium that day?
Yes.
With a Hawaii hat on.
That's real. Hawaii State.
I'm telling you, when he was talking about the crowds, man, there is nothing. It's kind of the sad thing right now with Hawaii, when we can't even get 20,000 people in the stands right now for those games. And I'm like, I was there when they were almost selling out. And I mean, when you have 35,000 Hawaiians stomping on that stadium, throwing stuff in the field, it is something to behold. I mean, UCF, the bounce house, when the students start bouncing, you have that. I go, dude, you have got a whole nother thing when you have big, huge Hawaiians down there with Billy holding that spear.
I can only imagine.
You got everybody just stomping. I mean, that whole stadium is just rocking.
Well, it's cool. Like, I don't know any college football player can say this, but the only two times my last two games at Hawaii were at home, Boise State and Washington. That was my senior year. Both games sold out. Stadium holds 50,000. Both games sold out. The only two times the field has ever been rushed in Hawaii was the last two games I played in.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And they were trying to get on, people trying to steal my helmet. It was crazy.
You and me might be a little biased, but I'm hands down, Vili is the best college mascot.
Yeah, I know. He was great,
no
man.
Warrior going around banging drums, spear, basically taunting the other side while he's sitting there just yelling at him, holding the spear. I mean, come on.
I know, we missed him, man. He was the best, dude. We loved him, man. There was June Jones did a good job creating a good community, and what he did a good job too is he hired a lot of local coaches. I think we all know St. Louis, right? High school in Oahu. Marcus Mariota just pumping out talent after talent. Tua Tagovailoa and everything. So basically, the head coach or the two of the coaches there, the head coach and the other main coach, they were on June's roster. June did a great job of bringing in a lot of local coaches, and he had this walk-on policy. And dude, there's a lot of talent in Hawaii. There really is that, and it's hard for it to be seen. I would say like when I watch Modern Day, and I remember being at Modern Day and everything, football's much more simpler in Hawaii. It's just line up, and just bang. You don't see Modern Day. I bet if I went and checked out their playbook, they'd probably have checks and all kinds of audibles. Hawaii, you just line up and you just go. And there was always a lot of talent in Hawaii, but it was hard for it to be seen. And so there was we had so much good walk-ons that came on. And, and I mentioned, there's Ashley Lee, Chad Owens, and me, and so many more that showed up. And we had this great rapport. And I think the reason we had so much success is that to this day, when we see each other, there's nothing but love for each other. And we actually last fall, all got enshrined into the Hawaii Hall of Fame.
Nice.
The 2017.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
we saw each other. We all went to the game. It was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's kind of sad that it's hard for the talent to get out because nobody's watching them kids. Nobody's watching really Hawaii. Like the reporters, when they're trying to go to sleep and they got to wake up early, they just read stats. They look at stats. They don't really get to see all the great highlights and all the game reels and all that. So I mean, we got to.
And the football is much more simpler as well, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot more intricate football on the mainland, but the football is a lot more simpler. But yeah, no, the time changed. Like Monday Night Football in Hawaii isn't Monday Night Football. It's Monday 2 p.m. football. So it's and then they replay it at night for everyone that gets off work. So like when you're on the radio, hey, if you want to watch the game tonight, turn your station when they do the updates of the score. Nice. But it'd be cool because our meetings were usually around 4. Usually you have treatment. You get done with school around like 1 o'clock or whatever. You go into treatment. So you'd be in treatment before you go to your meetings. You'd be watching Monday Night Football, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then when March Madness rolls around, you go into like the sports bars at like 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning, trying to watch
the struggle is real here in Central Florida watching Hawaii games. Let me tell you, 11 to 9 p.m. kickoffs. I mean, that is. I'm getting old, as you can see the gray. I can't do that as much.
I'm getting it. I feel like that too. But it's cool. When I went to the Senior Bowl, these kids came up to me. I believe they were from Alabama, and they said that every Saturday night when we were at home, they would have a sleepover and stay up to watch the Hawaii game. And I thought that was pretty awesome. Like small moments like that go a long way. Definitely.
That's cool. Well, Colt.
Yeah.
I need to let you go so you can get back to what you're doing on this evening, sir. But I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to come and talk with us.
Hey, no, thank you guys. And yeah, man, I'd love to come back on, check in with you maybe down the road and let you know how I'm doing. And I'm definitely going to be coaching next year. So, yeah, I'd love to check back in with you. And I very much appreciate you guys having me on. And thanks for buying that hat.
Yeah, no, of course. I said, I've got, like I said, I have.
Yeah, you send that out, I'll sign it. No problem. Maybe get the boys to sign it too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because Sam and all those cats are back living in Oahu now. We always see each other. Man, a lot of love still there.
Awesome. Well, hey, like I said, if you ever put in a good word for us. I mean, like I said, we'd love to talk to them as well. I mean,
anybody?
Awesome.
Yeah,
we'll do. I'll be back. I might go to Fisher Sports in March to do some physical therapy. That's a training facility. There'll be a bunch of guys getting ready for the draft. I thought maybe it might be fun to be around that environment. And then he's a great physical therapist, Brett Fisher. So if I'm not back in Hawaii in March, I'll definitely be back in April. And check in with me. And thank you guys again. It was fun.
Thanks for
Thank you, Colt.
We'll send you a link over, and we'll make sure we send love your way via Instagram. Get you some followers, hopefully. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a great night.
Take care, guys.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome.
That was cool. I really liked getting to
another one.
Talk with him. So I said, man, Brat's Beard Care. Kelly brought, Brat'sBeardCare.com.
See, just look at it. Look at Craig's beard and look at mine. I haven't put my Brat's Beard Care in. It looks horrible. I'm having a bad day today.
That's fine.
Just look at the difference.
Really needs to be trimmed, but yeah, it's like I said, I put some in today.
It's all scrappy. It doesn't look good. Yeah.
Use 3 Beards for the code, capital B, and you'll get 20% off, free shipping on your orders. So Nanny Cakes, Nancy Burke in the Central Florida area.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I keep forgetting about it. She actually made a cake, several cakes for Channel 6 News. So what other business made cakes for the news station? Come on.
That's cool.
Just
there you go. So anybody in the Central Florida area need a cake, Nanny Cakes, you get the same thing. Tell her you saw 3 Beards, then you're going to get a discount on your cake as well. I believe it's the same. I think it's 15%, something like that off the cake. So, yep. So contact her. The phone number is 407
923-2898. And on Facebook, Nanny Cakes Nancy Burke.
Nice. So as always, follow us Instagram, Twitter, go to our website, threebeardspodcast.com. Obviously, like, share, hit notifications so you can get the stuff. Check us out, y'all. Please like and share this video as well and share that to your friends so we can get the word out.
Hard, like you said, too, I shared into the Hawaii group, but, we're so far behind, so they'll get it later. But
yeah, and like I said, they said this one, especially this one, kind of that I'm going to be the substitute, the story of you, even though this is the sports one. This still thing is just because you can see, you go from high to where you were the man to all of a sudden just bam, car crash. And now you're having to pick up, like I said, he reset himself to 8th grade.
Yeah. You never know. It can happen. He was going to play for the Oakland Raiders, and the day before, car accident. You never know it can happen, man.
Yep. So, but gentlemen, awesome. Good job lining him up. Appreciate it, sir. That was fantastic. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody has a great night. And as always, we'll see you Wednesday where we'll have our special guest, Christopher Floyd. We'll be talking about archangels and demons and the encounters with those on Wednesday. So that's going to be kind of a nice little special. So, gentlemen, till Wednesday, hope everybody has a good night.